Sumerian cuneiform and Egyptian hieroglyphs are two of the earliest known writing systems. They were developed independently in different parts of the world, but they share some common features and characteristics. Both systems use a combination of logograms, which are symbols that represent words, and phonograms, which are symbols that represent sounds. However, there are also some key differences between the two systems. In this video, we will look at each of these writing systems separately, exploring their history, development, and characteristics. We will also discuss some of the ways in which they are similar and different. So let's get started. Sumerian cuneiform is considered to be the oldest known writing system in the world. It was developed around 3200 BC in the Sumerian civilization in southern Mesopotamia, which is now Iraq. The Sumerians were a group of people who spoke a language isolate, meaning that it's not related to any other known language, and they lived in the region from around 4500 BC to 1900 BC. They were known for their many inventions and innovations, including the wheel, the plow, and the sail. They also developed one of the earliest forms of government, a system of kings and priests that ruled over the city-states. The Sumerians kept records of their economic transactions, such as the buying and selling of goods and services. These records were kept on clay tablets, using a tool called a stylus. The stylus was a sharp instrument made of bone or metal that was used to press into the clay tablets, creating wedge-shaped marks. This is where the term cuneiform comes from the Latin word for wedge shape. The Sumerians initially used pictographic symbols, but as the system evolved, more abstract symbols were introduced. Some symbols represented entire words, while others represented syllables or sounds. For example, the symbol for water could represent the whole word for water, or the sound W. As the Sumerian Empire grew and expanded, the cuneiform writing system spread to other regions and was used by other civilizations, such as the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. The Akkadians were a Semitic people who conquered the Sumerians around 2300 BC. They adopted the Sumerian writing system and adapted it to their own language. The Babylonians were another Semitic people who rose to power after the fall of the Akkadian Empire. They further developed the cuneiform writing system and created a new script called Babylonian cuneiform. This script was used throughout Mesopotamia and was one of the most widely used writing systems in the ancient world. It was used for a variety of purposes, including record-keeping, literature, and religious texts. One of the most famous examples of Babylonian cuneiform is the Hammurabi Code. This is a collection of 282 laws that were carved into a black stone stele. It was created in the 18th century BC by Hammurabi, the sixth king of the First Babylonian Empire. The Hammurabi Code is an important historical document because it provides insight into the legal and social customs of the Babylonian Empire. It also shows how the Babylonian cuneiform writing system was used to convey complex information. Another famous example of Babylonian cuneiform is the Epic of Gilgamesh. This is an epic poem that tells the story of Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk. The poem was written in the 18th century BC and is considered to be one of the oldest works of literature in the world. It was originally written in Sumerian, but later versions were written in Babylonian. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an important work of literature because it reflects the culture and beliefs of the ancient Mesopotamians. It also shows the power of storytelling and the importance of preserving cultural heritage. Egyptian hieroglyphs developed around 3000 BC in Egypt. Like Sumerian cuneiform, Egyptian hieroglyphs were used for a variety of purposes, including record-keeping, literature, and religious texts. Hieroglyphs means carved or written in a sacred way. This is because the Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs were a divine gift that was given to them by the gods. The Egyptians used a variety of materials for their writing, including papyrus, which was made from the papyrus plant, and ostraca, which were pieces of pottery. However, the most durable material for writing was stone. The Egyptians would carve hieroglyphs into stone tablets, or build large structures covered in hieroglyphics, such as the pyramids and obelisks. Unlike Sumerian cuneiform, which was mostly written in black on clay tablets, Egyptian hieroglyphs were usually written in black ink on papyrus or ostraca, or carved into stone. The colors of the hieroglyphs had a special meaning and were used to convey different ideas. Black was used for everyday writing, but blue and green were used for religious texts. Red was used for important documents, and gold was used for writing on tombs. The structure of Egyptian hieroglyphs is unique and highly stylized. Most hieroglyphs are pictorial in nature, representing either an object or an idea. For example, the hieroglyph for house represents the idea of home or family. The hieroglyph for sun represents the god Ra, who was the supreme deity in the Egyptian pantheon. There were also phonetic hieroglyphs, which represented sounds. These were more abstract than pictorial hieroglyphs and were often used to represent foreign words or names. The Egyptian writing system was used throughout the country and was used by all levels of society. It was used for record keeping, such as keeping track of crops or livestock, and for more complex texts, such as the Book of the Dead, which was a collection of religious texts that were designed to help the dead person navigate the underworld. The Egyptians used their writing system to communicate with each other and with the gods. They wrote prayers and incantations on amulets and tablets, and they carved hieroglyphs into temples and tombs. The discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799 was a major event in the history of archaeology. The Rosetta Stone was a black granite stele that was discovered in the town of Rosetta, now known as Rashid, in Egypt. It contained a decree issued by the priests of the Egyptian god Amen in the year 196 BC. The decree was written in 3 different scripts: hieroglyphic, Demotic, and Greek. This made it a valuable resource for scholars because it allowed them to compare the 3 scripts and figure out what they meant. The Rosetta Stone was instrumental in deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, which had been undeciphered for centuries. The first person to decipher the hieroglyphs was Thomas Young, an English polymath, in 1814. Sumerian cuneiform and Egyptian hieroglyphs are 2 of the earliest and most influential writing systems in history. They developed independently in different parts of the world, but they share some common features and characteristics. Both systems use a combination of logograms and phonograms. They are both highly stylized, and they were both used for a variety of purposes, including record-keeping, literature, and religious texts. However, there are also some key differences between the 2 systems. Sumerian cuneiform was a more abstract system, and it was used primarily on clay tablets. Egyptian hieroglyphs were more pictorial, and they were used on a variety of materials, including papyrus, ostraca, and stone. The 2 writing systems had a profound impact on their respective societies. In Mesopotamia, the Sumerians and other civilizations used cuneiform to keep track of their economic transactions and to create literary works. In Egypt, hieroglyphs were used to communicate with the gods and to preserve the culture and history of the Egyptian people. The legacy of these writing systems can still be seen today in the languages and cultures of the Middle East and North Africa. They are a testament to the ingenuity and creativity of the ancient peoples, and they continue to fascinate scholars and the general public alike. So what do you think? Which writing system do you find more interesting? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel.